What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the BizDad Podcast. Today, I am really looking forward to our next conversation with Nick Simpson. Nick, we were introduced by Sean. I should have wrote down what episode Sean was on, but you can look back to Sean Stratton's recording as well. But Nick, can you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us about your family, and then tell us about your business.
Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me on, Adam. I'm not super used to people watching me and hearing my stories, so I'm excited to start. So yeah, born and raised in southern Maine. Actually live about a half hour from where I grew up. So family's all around here. My parents, my wife's parents, they're all local. So pretty tight family dynamic for sure. Me and my wife, Erica, so she's a pre-K teacher for a local public school system. She loves that. She used to be a kindergarten teacher and stepped down from that role a couple years ago. So she, I always say she's the breadwinner in terms of she carries the benefits, so I can then go out and be the entrepreneurial dad that I am. But yeah, she absolutely loves what she does, and she more or less is very trusting of me to go out and build something big. So I have a lot of fun with that. So we have two kids, Carter, who just turned 12, and Ellie, who will be 10 next week. Nice. And I'll kind of share more about those two as I jump into the business end, because it's very, very interconnected in terms of why I'm trying to build what I'm currently building. So I am in real estate, primarily fix and flips. I've been doing that for, coming up on about a decade, give or take. Okay. So flipped about 50 properties to date, mostly first-time homebuyer type homes. We've done some luxury properties in there. We've done some bigger flips, but primarily they're that $200,000 to $400,000 range. There seems to be a big need for that in southern Maine. So the market's hot. It's been hot since we started, and that's just really where we focus our attention on. So previously, before that, I worked for a local supermarket chain in their distribution center. I hated every minute of it. Went to college because I was told I kind of needed to. I didn't know what I was going for. I just showed up, took the classes, and hoped for the best. I remember having to go in to talk to my advisor one day, and she's like, "So you're on like year 3 now. What do you want to graduate with for a degree?" And I'm like, "You know what? I don't know." She's like, "You need to figure it out because you're running out of core classes." And I'm like, "Well, what's the closest thing I'm to in terms of being able to just get out of here?" And she's like, "Well, you've taken a lot of like communication, media relations type courses." She's like, "I would say that." And I'm like, "Let's do that." So graduated 5 years on a 4-year degree that I do nothing with, arguably. I mean, I'm sure it's helped in what I'm doing, but I think I could have invested that money into the entrepreneurial avenue and gotten a better return. But honestly, so jumping back to my kids, I never really wanted or knew I wanted more. I always wanted to say I was rich, but it had no meaning behind it for me. So while I was working for the supermarket chain, just putting on a smile every day, getting myself pumped up. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And every day I was like, I hate this. And it was a cycle. Pump myself up in the morning, go home hating, that part of my life. So our son was born in 2013. Very typical pregnancy, nothing out of the ordinary. He came right on time. And so he was born in a local smaller hospital, and 6 pounds. My wife would kill me for not remembering the exact details.
Oh, please.
6 pounds, some odd ounces, and healthy baby boy. They said everything looks great. Mom and son are doing great. So we're literally getting ready to go home. And finally, the pediatrician comes in. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm way behind. I just need to essentially do an exam of Carter for protocol, and then you guys can get out of here." So we're packing our stuff. My parents are walking in to help us load, the cars up. And he's like, I don't know how we missed this. And we're like, missed what? And he's like, we need to rush him to Maine Medical Center. So we were, like I said, we were at a smaller hospital, and right, just down the road was Maine's biggest hospital, luckily. And then he's like not giving us any info. And he's like, nurse, we need to get a feeding tube down in. We need to pump out his stomach. And we're like, what's going on here? And he, we had no idea, but he was actually born with, and it's a little embarrassing for him as he gets older, but he was essentially born with no opening on his behind. Like, it was just sealed shut. So there was no way for anything to get out. And I'll spare all the details on that end. But so it's like, how did we miss that? And that was like, my wife and I were like, we felt horrible. Like, two new parents, like, how did we miss that? Like, we're changing diapers. And so there was a lot of shame in how we missed that. But so fast forward his story. He's great now, no issues. He had a colostomy when he was a baby. He had 3 surgeries to correct everything. And, like I said, he's great now. He's 12, plays soccer. Other than the cool scar on his stomach that he can create some pretty cool stories for to get the girls later, there's no issues that he deals with. So we're super fortunate with that. So that was the start of me starting to kind of question the world that I was a part of. But nothing really made sense as of yet. Like, I was more so wondering, like, why did this happen? Like, we didn't do anything to anybody, like, just super unlucky, like, woe was us kind of thing. But it was temporary, and we got over it. So then we got pregnant with our daughter. And again, the first 10, 12 weeks, everything was normal. We went in for the ultrasound where they tell you the sex of the baby, and we're all excited. And we're sitting there, and, 5 or 10 minutes in, the ultrasound tech was like, yeah, so do you guys want to know what you're having? And we're like, yeah, like, tell us. She's like, you're having a baby girl. And we're like, amazing. We have one of each. So, and we always wanted 3 kids. So we're like, all right, the third one won't matter. We have one of each. We were just on top of the world. And then the ultrasound tech just like got up and left the room. And again, she had just told us only 5 or 10 minutes in, and she's gone. And we're like, well, that's kind of odd. Maybe she needed to go get like more of the goo or, something. I don't know. So it felt like hours before the door opened. So we're sitting there talking, and the door opens, and it was the tech and like 2 other like suits, like very important looking people. And if you don't believe you can feel the energy in a room, positive or negative, let me tell you, it's real. Like, you could almost see a blob of negative energy coming into that room. And basically what they came in and said was, there's a lot of anomalies that we see on the ultrasound. We don't know a lot. Basically what it came down to was Ellie was really small. Her measurements were really, really undersized for, again, I think it was 12, 13 weeks, right around that area. So we're looking at that. We're looking at, we're measuring the back of her head, and, those measurements look really small. So we don't know what any of this means, but like, here's all this info, so we're like, well, what do we do? And they said, we really don't know anything else until things develop and we do further testing. So then they said, well, we need to talk to you in the conference room down the hall. And we're like, okay. And so we sit down, and they're like, all right, so obviously we just dumped all this info on you, but now we need to advise you that Maine law gives you like 1 week to terminate if you're going to terminate. Like, well, what do you mean terminate? And they said, well, it's totally up to you guys, but you can only do it for 1 more week, and then she's, developed too much, and then you could still do it, but then we got to fly you to Colorado and it was just all this info, and we couldn't even make sense of it, to be honest, Adam. Like, it was horrible. And then we pretty much said, like, we don't know how to respond to any of this. So they sent us home, with all this amazing info, and kind of like, just good luck to you guys. Let us know what you decide. So Basically, to fast forward, we did a couple more rounds of testing. They tested for some of the more common genetic syndromes, Down syndrome. It was a whole other list, and all that came back negative. So we really didn't get any more answers. We went in for an MRI, and they just confirmed. They pretty much said Ellie's. There's a piece in the brain that connects the two sides, and they said we don't see that in Ellie. And again, the question is, well, what does that mean? We don't know. It could mean a vegetable when she's born. It could mean just a slow learning disability. We don't know. So they said, it's just, it's up to you guys. We had a great doctor at that point, a neurologist, and she's like, if you guys think every birth is a gift, she's like, I obviously can't tell you what to do. And I said, well, just so you know, it was never an option to terminate. It was just a very confusing time. We should have said no, but we couldn't comprehend.
Of course.
So we ended up just buckling down. It was a very, very rough pregnancy. Erica was healthy. There really weren't any issues other than Ellie came about a month early. And she was teeny, tiny, 4-pound little girl a month early. And she came out screaming like a banshee.
Nice.
Full head of hair, Adam, full head. You could say she took it from me, whatever, I've heard all the jokes, but full head of hair. And you could just tell that second that she, came into this world, something was unique about her. She was missing a finger on her hand, it just kind of grew without an extra finger. So little things like that, facial abnormalities, again, super tiny, a lot of hair. And luckily the doctors knew right out of the gate what she had. They had to do a blood test just to confirm. But basically, Ellie has a syndrome called Cornelia-de-Lange syndrome, and it's CDLS for short. If you decided to Google it, you could just type in CDLS syndrome. So Ellie's a spitfire, honestly. She's, like I said, she'll be 10 next week. She's 35 pounds, about 3 feet tall. She's strong as an ox, but what it comes down to is she's going to be dependent on Erica and Carter for her life. So I just decided I want to build something magnificent, and something that can support a life of adventure, a life that takes care of her if something happens to my wife and I. So the why there is huge, which also has led to some stressors, some sleepless nights, feeling like if I fail, what happens? But so that's kind of the gist of it. I don't want to talk the whole time. I definitely want to allow you to throw some questions back.
No, this has been awesome.
Welcome to the BizDad Podcast, where we dive into the melding of fathership and entrepreneurship with your host, the original BizDad himself, Adam Labar. Adam is a Christian, a former Air Force officer, a dad to 3 amazing kids, a coach, a real estate investor, and a business owner. On this podcast, he'll explore the unique journeys of amazing dads who are striving for greatness in both business and family. So whether you're a dad who is an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or simply a man striving to be a better dad, get ready as the BizDad brings you conversations to inspire, challenge, and equip you to be a better dad and entrepreneur. And now, here's Adam.
There's been one other podcast where I was chatting with somebody, and I'm going to blank on his name right now, of course, because I'm on the spot and I'm recording. But within the first 35 seconds, it felt like he had talked about one of his children dying within 3 months of being born. And it was his little girl, and I had just had our little girl, and I just said goodbye to her, handed her off to the au pair so I could record the video. And I just almost immediately you got to talk, because I'm just going to fall apart on this recording. And his strength getting through it and having the conversation about it was massive as I was listening to it and going, man, I think a lot of can benefit from this. And then I hear your story and I think to myself, man, this is you have the gift of being able to keep both of your kids with you in this world. And you said, this is motivation for me. I'm not looking at this as a beat down. I'm not looking at this. And I'm sure there were moments. Don't get me wrong. I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there were moments where it was just like, what did I do wrong? What is happening? Like, why did this happen to us? We're all going to have those moments. But to step back and take the 30,000 foot view and realize, no, like you looked at this and said, this is what it is, and I'm going to make the absolute best of this. I'm going to push forward. I want to first start off by saying, well done. Right.
Well,
that is not an easy thing to do. And that's coming from somebody who's never had to do that in particular, but well done on pushing through it.
I appreciate that.
And I also want to say thank you on saying that it was never an option to terminate the pregnancy. Especially in a day and age where, it's almost like that is a form of birth control. That people use nowadays, as opposed to what it should be. But I don't want to go down that road too awfully deep. I want to rewind a minute because I'm going to have about 100 questions that I'm going to get to. But how long have you and was it Erica? Your wife? What was your wife's name again? Erica.
Yep. Erica.
How long have you and Erica been married?
We got married in 2011, so we just celebrated our 14th in June, 14th anniversary.
Very good. My wife and I just hit 15 in May, so we're a little bit before you. So you guys have been married for 2 years when you guys had Carter, and this was like your first experience going, crap, like we've got a kid and there's a medical thing, and so what sort of conversations did you guys have about having kids in those 2 years of being married, or even maybe before getting married, that did or did not prepare you for actually having a baby, and then add on top of that a baby that has a medical condition that nobody, not even the doctor, saw?
Oh, man. So I remember when I first met Erica, she said there's two things she wants. She said, I want to be a teacher and I want to have kids. Like, those are her things. And I get excited about that. Like, that was great for me. I think we were both fully prepared for the traditional baby journey. We were both excited. I mean, I've never been a big fan of other people's kids. Like, I'll hold your baby, but it doesn't do anything for me. So some people, like, I can't wait to hold the baby. That's not me. Even to this day, I'll hold your kid. I can hold them when they're crying, but it doesn't do anything for me. So, and I remember thinking that. I also remember thinking we had a German Shepherd puppy at the time, and we were like, how are we going to love something more than we love this puppy? Like, how's that possible? Well, obviously, when you meet the baby, it's like, oh, yeah. When we were young, like, you say silly things, but it's just, I'm sure you can relate. Even if you're not fully ready, when the baby comes out, you turn into a different man.
For sure. You should.
It's anyways. I know it doesn't always happen, but for most of us, it's like all the insecurities, they kind of get squashed down and your confidence goes up. Like, this is my blood, like, let's go, step up. So I remember feeling that. And then,
especially when it's a little boy, something about a dude having a little boy. That's
exactly, for sure. But the complexities with the colostomy, we weren't ready for that. So, like, here's this tiny little 6-pound baby with his itty bitty belly that's taken up mostly by these, they call them stomas. So, like, essentially the intestines come out, and they expect you to glue these stupid bags over them to catch the, what's coming out of them. And they literally, like, give us like an hour crash course, and they give us these booklets, and they're like, you got it? Like, you good now? And we're like, yeah, I guess so. Like, can we call you at midnight? Because that's when it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And of course, that's when it was an issue. And I remember being up multiple times a night because these bags wouldn't stick. So all the crap would come out and get all over his clothes, and it was just all over his bed. So we were changing clothes and bed sheets and all these things in the middle of the night. And he's screaming because he just wants to sleep. And we're trying to glue these things on, and his stomach's starting to, like, break down because of all the, like diaper rash, but picture that on the stomach.
Yeah.
Dude, we were losing our minds, and we'd have weekly appointments with the surgeon, and he's like, you just have to figure it out. There is no other option. And looking back, like, we both take a lot of pride on what happened next, because we rose to the occasion and figured it out. So we're like, this isn't working. we're literally going to lose our own sanity. It's not good. So we're like, what else can we do? We literally like made our own system. So we went out and we bought the biggest diapers we could get from the supermarket. We cut them in half. We lathered diaper cream on his stomach where the breakdown was and the rash. And then we wrapped the diaper around him. And then we got this like surgical netting and we made like a body sleeve on it. And it held everything in place. And we could literally change the diaper like every other baby and not deal with the bags. And we went back to the surgeons, in a couple of weeks. And we're like, just giving you a heads up. We're done with the bags. And he's like, you're done with the bags? I'm like, what do you mean? I said, we figured out our own system here. And he's like, well, do tell. And we showed it to him. And he's like, can I refer this to all the other patients? And we're like, yes, absolutely. So he snapped a picture of his belly. He's like, all right, this is going to be the way we're going to start pushing this for the parents that want to do it. So like that was such a, even to this day, like a prideful moment. It's like we figured it out. We figured it out when we needed to, and we didn't just stick to the plan that was thrown at us and suffer, because that's what we were doing. We were suffering. So, but beyond that, the surgeries and having to put a new, brand new baby under anesthesia, and just I don't know how you prepare somebody for that as a new parent, even as a seasoned parent. Like it never gets easy. So it's like, yeah, and particularly with Ellie. So she had a couple surgeries, and she was the one that pushed me to the point of being like, I'm done playing it safe. And I have some shame for ever thinking of like, why us? Why us? I'm not a religious man. I'm very spiritual. So I guess when I was talking to someone, at the time, I don't know, but it's like, why us? Why did you make this happen to us? And to this day, I still feel bad ever thinking about that, but that was part of the journey, to be honest. So it needed to happen. But that was when everything flipped for me. It's like, I'm done playing by the rules. Life's going to give you stuff, no matter if you pay your bills on time and you go to work for the man and you go to bed at 9:00 every night. Like, life's going to mess with you. So you might as well take some chances, make some mistakes. It's never as bad as you want or as bad as you think it'll be. So let's go. Yeah. And you've taken some chances.
I love the outlook, and that's the same thing. I mean, I was a military guy for a long time, so you have no choice but to take chances doing a lot of military stuff, getting thrown around all over the place, doing all sorts of silly stuff. But it's a different story when it comes to your family and your kids as you're watching this little child. Like, you want to do everything you can to play it safe because you're staring at a kid, but then you realize that you have no choice but to step up and rise to the occasion because playing it safe is not going to get us through where we're at. But looking at you and your wife, like if you were to look at yourselves critically, like pre having the first kid, how strong was your relationship with each other before you got married, and then in those first 2 years of marriage?
I think it was pretty strong. I think it's gotten less strong since the kids have been born, particularly Ellie. Like, it's just known parents of kids with special needs.
Yeah.
It's a struggle. I don't know what the divorce rate is. I'm sure I could Google it, but it's more than others just because of the stress. But no, I mean, we're like anybody. We could do some work. We could talk more. We could share more. And I'll put most of the blame on me. Right
where it should be.
Yeah. And I mean, you're not joking. It's true. I've fallen victim to the trap of like, the real estate world's stressful. Like, there's some stuff that will make you quiver in the corner. And it's like, I'm going to protect her by not sharing this at home. I'll keep it all to me. Well, I'm sure I don't have to explain to you. That's not, it's not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's the same for putting up with me.
I say the reason that I say that as it should be is because hopefully your wife says the same thing, is that she says a lot of it is on me. Because the sooner that we're all able to look internally and say, what part have I had in this breakdown? What part have I had in these issues? The better off we're going to be. But too many people immediately go to, well, it's you that's doing this thing. And it's like, golly, take a step aside. Like, it's not, I mean, I'm just as guilty as the next guy on doing that from time to time. And I'm rather good at arguing my point. So I can almost always make it seem like it's somebody else's fault. And it's not until later that I'm like, you're a total jerk face. Like, I can't believe that you just turned that around like that, you know?
Jerk face. I like your 10-year-old explanation of an insult.
Speaking of, right as you were talking about that, my 10-year-old and my 6-year-old brought me in a little Lego car.
Oh.
They said they built for me. So
I love it.
It's got little guns on the side. So let me see if I can get this to. Oh, yeah.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Yep. So I don't know if you heard them walk in, but they were in here trying to deliver me a vehicle. But
nice.
The reason I'd asked about the relationship side of the house is, because like you said, I don't know what the numbers are either. If I remember correctly from the conversation with the guy whose child passed, I think they said, like, they sat down with somebody that was like, hey, like, I want to say, and I could be wrong on this number, but I want to say it was like 90% of the marriages fail after the death of a child, after the death of a very small child.
I believe it. I mean,
you have got to have such the right grounding of mindset and the right people around you to be in that 10%. And I would imagine it would be, similar in those, maybe not quite as high, but in those with kids with special needs, because then you both turn into nothing but this kid as opposed to each other.
Oh, yeah.
So it may not be right away, like I would imagine it is on the death of a child, but over time, like it becomes the death of a relationship as things get chopped away. And this is just me making assumptions because I've never had to live that. But I can't imagine the difficulty. So as you guys then started right away with a child running into your first child running into some heartaches, were you guys able to continue on to realize that, oh man, we're good. Like, you and I are a good team. We're able to make this happen. We figured this out to help our kid. Now we're helping other people's kids just by having this idea. Like, you and I are a good team and stay strong. Was that kind of the thing, or was it more just like, okay, past it and just let's focus still on this kid?
Good question. I think there's a mutual understanding about it. I don't ever remember talking like that with the word, physical words out loud. Yeah. But I do feel like it's, even with Ellie to this day, there's a mutual partnership there. Like, she's the one that has the mental capacity to deal with all the IEPs and the scheduling of all these therapies and the advocacy of dealing with the schools. She's amazing at that. I am like the fun dad, keep her rolling around on the floor, making sure she, I wrestle with her like Carter, and the entrepreneurial part allows me to bring her to school every day, so she doesn't have to ride the bus, and I actually get to bring her to her appointments and whatnot. So there's definitely a real dynamic there that we've made work. Your question is making me feel like maybe we dropped the ball on communicating that. To be honest, kind of the positive word just keeps it going instead of just assuming there's appreciation there, which there is, but as we both know, it's nice to hear sometimes.
Oh yeah,
and I see that
for both of you guys.
Yeah.
I would strongly encourage then to have those conversations. Just like, it sounds like, and I mean, obviously this is me having talked to you for 28 minutes, right? It sounds like you guys work very well together. And the more you guys are able to communicate that with each other, and this is for anybody listening, make sure that you are communicating what you love about your guys' relationship, but also obviously discussing what you don't, like what you want to work on. But communicate what you love about it so that you guys can both hear it, you guys can both feel it, you guys can both understand it. And you guys can say, look, we have tackled some very difficult things that most parents don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
And we're still together. We're still driving hard together. We're still, we've got hiccups. Every couple does. No couple is perfect, no matter what Instagram says. It's one of those things that everybody's going to have heartaches and everybody's going to have troubles. But when you can look back and say, like, there was a Michelle Obama was on her podcast once, and she had said something like, when you're married, you're going to have a bad decade. It happens. I was thinking to myself, holy crap, a bad decade. Like, you guys need to communicate more, right? And obviously I'm calling out a very famous person who's been in the limelight in a very different way than I have, right? But it's one of those that the realization that you're going to have bad moments is good. Everybody needs to have that. You're going to be a bad dad from time to time. You're going to be a bad husband from time to time. You're going to think you have a bad wife from time to time. And you're definitely going to have bad kids from time to time. Like there's no way around it. But to step back and go, okay, overarching, like, am I at 90-10 here or am I at 50-50? If I'm at 50-50, we're having an issue. But if 90% of the time we're like, hey, we got this. And 10% of the time you're like, man, I want to choke you out. Hopefully you don't actually want to choke somebody out. But the flesh side of you really wants to come out. It's one of those, let's just realize that those are going to happen. Let's praise each other in those moments that we realize, man, we've gone through a lot. You and Erica have gone through a lot. And it sounds like you guys have done a very good job of pushing through it. So well done.
Well,
make sure you communicate that with her. And tell her to say it to you too, Dagnabbit.
No, she really does. She says all the time, "You're such a good dad. Thank you." Like she's a model wife in a lot of regards. Like you said, not every time. Some days it's just like, what's the saying? She actually says it sometimes to Carter. She's like, "Carter, I love you with all my heart. And I love you so much, but I do not like you right now."
I don't like what you're doing right now at all. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, with kids, we know it's going to happen. That's very normal. So I want to go then fast forward a little bit then to Ellie. You guys have already shown that you're strong and capable as parents. You may have, this is 3 years later now. So you may have actually forgot that you were, right? And now you have to do it again. So what was that kind of like for you guys going, man, this is like time number 2. Now we have to deal with this. Like how was your guys' communication? How did you guys work through having to deal with a second genetic issue with your second kid?
I mean, our first thought was like, what is wrong between the two of us here? Like, and we actually asked the geneticist and she's like, I hear you, but there's nothing. She said, both of these kids, it's just a weird coincidence. She's like, there is nothing between you guys. She's like, I've actually had to ask other parents before. Like there's certain things we see come up in other kids and we do have to ask, like, are you guys related to other parents? And they're like, no, Yeah. So luckily that was not the conversation we had to have. It was just luck of the draw. She said you could have a third kid and again, same odds that you have something or nothing. And she's like, are you guys going to have a third kid? And we're like, no, we're done.
That's tomorrow. Today's not a good day.
No, we're good at 2. To be honest, I've wondered what a third would be. It would be nothing but great. The issue we have is it fair to Ellie? I mean, she takes a lot of time. We can't leave her in the room by herself. Like there's a lot of time and resources that goes into keeping her safe and just everything with her flourishing. So it's like, I don't think it'd be safe and we'd go crazy. So, but it's, so time number 2, it was very much like, all right, so we kind of know we got this. Let's buckle down. We're up for the ride. She was luckily very healthy. There were a lot of little anomalies that required follow-up, doctor's visit, but we're super lucky. Like we don't take our situation for granted at all.
Yeah.
There are kids with her. So like her syndrome is like a mile long. There's kids that don't survive the birth. And there are people that are so mild that they function, they get married and everything, that you and I do. So she's right in the middle. So, and we wouldn't change anything. Somebody could say, hey, snap of your fingers, we're going to change Ellie into a non-CDLS kid. And we'd be like, heck no. Like, she is where she should be, and we are who we should be. Like, we are good. So it's just, that's all it is. We're ready to figure out the next challenge. And for us, it's exciting. We're both excited to share a life with her. Like Adam, it's going to keep Carter. Like Carter's obsessed with Ellie. It's going to keep him coming home when he's older and married and have kids. Like, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be awesome. And the fact that she's so small, and I've processed this over the last couple of years. Like feeling sad for myself for not, just a couple things. Like, she's nonverbal. So sad that I'm never going to hear her say, I love you.
Yeah.
Sad that she'll never get married and I'm not going to walk her down the aisle. So the inverse of that now is happy that I'm always going to be able to scoop her up because she's always going to be small and squeeze her. Happy that she lights up whenever Erica, myself, and Carter walk into the room. Happy that she gets to live with us forever. So all these negatives, no, they're gifts. They're true gifts that we get to have now. So that was recent. That was in the last year or so that I've started really thinking about that and sharing the thoughts. There was a lot of shame in ever even expressing that there were days that I wish she was normal. That's hard to say. Yeah. It's when you're up in the middle of the night 5 times because she has a stuffy nose and she's kicking you in the stomach. There's the puppy. She's kicking you in the stomach and she won't go to sleep and you're so tired. Or I remember when COVID was around, she got COVID and she was fine. No issues. We got COVID.
My kids are the same way.
We were laid up. I was laid up for 2 weeks, but
yeah,
we still had to get up and tend to her in the middle of the night. She didn't care. She doesn't care if you got a broken arm. You better figure out how to pick her up. So, yeah, it's been a journey.
Having that perspective is a lovely thing. And I mean, sure, you're saying it took you 8 years to kind of adjust the perspective, but at the same point, there's no way for you to just walk out with that perspective. Life is just a whole different animal, and you can't gain that sort of perspective usually without living through something that gets you there. So you had to live through it and see it and feel it and understand it, and then watch your other child and go, wow, I'm totally seeing the positive in all of this. And it's one of those things that, I try to explain this to a lot of people in all sorts of things. If you are looking for the negative in things, you'll find it around every corner.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for the positive in things, you'll find that around every corner as well. So your perspective on how you look at it is going to adjust whether your understanding of the situation. So if you just have this perspective that everything is terrible, then it's going to feel pretty terrible from day to day. It's going to be there. We talk about it in the psychology, the reticular activating system inside of your brain, right? When you see, when you go and buy a new car, now all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. Yeah. You didn't see it before, but now you do because your brain is looking for it. And the same thing happens in our day-to-day life. If you go looking for the amazing things that are going on in the world, you're going to go see them. If not, I talk about it as a Christian too. It's look, if you're walking around and you could say that, that bird flying over your head is just, I can't believe the way that blah, blah, blah happened. And you just look over at a bird, or you could think, what a creation. Yesterday I was driving home from dropping my son off at church. And I'm driving home and a bald eagle flies over my head. And I was like, what an amazing creation we have here. There's these huge trees. There's this beautiful bald eagle flying over. I just dropped my amazing kiddo off at church. Wow, what a blessing. But if I were to go, but the car in front of me is going too slow and I'm doing all this, and then sure, I can completely ruin it. So I love it. So don't be down on yourself for taking too long or anything quote unquote on that. It takes time, it takes time to get through all of that.
Well, thank you for that. It's there's no mastermind course or anything out there that could ever teach it. There's no book to read. There's just, it's the long nights when it's how can it be night for so long? It needs to be morning so we can figure this out, or they're sick. And it's just that's not how it works. We've developed, I remember as a kid, I was a hothead. My mom would always call me a hothead, short temper. And it's I am such a cool, collected guy now because that's who I've been transformed into. Patience is one of my values now because I've had to figure it out. Because if Ellie's losing it or you can't change a stupid diaper in the middle of the night, you better clear your mind and chill out because you got a baby that's depending on you. So there's been so many gifts in this journey. What I really, and this is, the most public place I've shared this idea, but actually Sean Stratton connected me with a guy about a month ago. This gentleman has a daughter with special needs, and I've been searching for connections with other men, other dads that are entrepreneurs trying to build something, doing that while they have an interesting family dynamic, ideally a special needs child. And they're tough to find because it goes back to the divorce rate. Most parents with special needs kids, like they're fighting just to make it through the day. They're exhausted after fighting with the school over the IEPs. Like they have all these amazing ideas and they have all these lessons and values that they've learned. They're so stuck in the day to day. So I'm like, I really want to start talking to more men like me, like this other guy I talked to. And when him and I talked, it was like instant like brotherhood, to be honest. We both knew what each other felt in a separate story, but similar emotions. I'm like, I know exactly how you felt in that moment. And it was amazing. So from that conversation, I really am starting to plan what it would look like to start a group, a weekly group to start with just like-minded men that are in similar boats. We just get on and we share and we strategize and we share, tips and tricks, and we share how we've worked through this struggle. So that's something I really, I'm only 2 weeks into the idea, but I think that's coming. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, if you want to jump on a call later just to kind of go over it and talk about it, I might have some folks in my network that would be interested in joining with you too, but we can chat about it offline. But no, I think that's anytime you could find like-minded people who are going through it with a positive outlook.
Yeah.
Right. Don't surround yourself with folks who are going through it without a positive outlook. Bring in the positive outlook folks first, then bring in the folks that are struggling so that you can help build them up. Otherwise, it could really tear down the side of the house. But to say that I tell people, if you're having a hard time with your marriage, don't go to the bar and have a discussion with the guy who's been divorced twice. Like you're going to probably end up divorced.
Yeah.
Go to the guy who's fought through the difficult times through their marriage and stayed together with their spouse. You want to be able to be around people that are going to build you up. So. What's going on, everybody? I wanted to jump in and take a second to tell you about the awesome team over at Wise VAs. Oftentimes, as entrepreneurs, we can feel a bit overwhelmed with mundane tasks that eat up our valuable time, and it's time to reclaim that schedule, all right? It's time to stop doing some of those $10 an hour jobs and give them back to an elite group of talent that are there specifically to help you and help you stay in your zone of genius. So delegate those $10 an hour tasks to focus on more $1,000 an hour tasks. Reclaim what matters most in your life, which is your time. Get that amazing team of elite remote talent that is there to help support you and make sure that you are giving back the best to your company. So schedule a free strategy call at getwisevas.com/Adam. That is getwisevas.com/Adam. It is an amazing group, an amazing team. They do an awesome job with everything that they've got going on there. If you have some tasks on the side, whether it's administrative, whether it's editing, whether it's recording, whatever it is, they have got an assistant for you, someone who is going to be able to help you out and take some of those tasks off of your plate. I thank Wise VAs every day for helping me process all of these podcasts, helping me take care of a bunch of stuff in the background. And I definitely would recommend them over to you. So again, getwisevas.com/Adam. All right. Thanks a lot. Back to the show. Now that I kind of understand a lot of this, I want to rewind a little bit. You talked about being a hothead when you were younger. So I kind of want to go back to then and try to understand how you got to where you are today. So let's rewind a little bit and go back to growing up. Like, tell me a little bit about what it was like for you growing up in Maine with talk about your mom and dad, any siblings that you had. Go for it. Let's hear kind of what your upbringing was like.
Yeah, so I was a middle child. We're all 3 years apart. So 3-year older brother, 3 years younger sister. My parents, so my mom always worked for a hospital. She actually still works there today. She has a intensive care unit secretary. And then my dad actually worked for a prison, doing maintenance, mechanicals, that kind of thing. So grew up only really knowing I'd call it paycheck to paycheck world. We could only get school clothes. My mom would max out the credit card and then pay it down over the months. They'd throw stuff on layaway for Christmas presents. So I grew up knowing the traditional, lower middle class way of doing things. We would go on some trips here and there. We went to Florida when I was in high school, but before that, we do a lot of day trips. We do a lot of camping. I remember we used to camp in a tent, and then tax return season came, and I remember they said we can either get a hot tub or we can get a camper. And we're like, well, let's get a camper. I didn't know the camper was going to be like a 1975, trawler, shag, rug. But I tell you what, Adam, like, I must have been 6 or 7 at the time. That thing was the best. It took to a 1989 Chevy Suburban, and off we went. And I tell you, the memories we had, they were amazing. And never once did I ever think like, oh, people think our camper is like a hippie, shag and wagon type of thing. Like looking back at pictures, this thing was rough, but it was what we could get. So really great childhood camping. We grew up in an old farmhouse. So my dad was always working on something, and it was big. Like any old farmhouse up here, it's a big old house and then a big old barn. So I remember he started redoing the siding on that thing when I was really little. Like he didn't complete the siding until I was like 23. And then he's like, well, shoot, now I got to start back over. This is the stuff I did originally needs to be replaced. And he's like, I'm done. We're going to hire it out. So, looking back, it's amazing what you pick up in terms of how to do skills, stuff like that, just by watching, and like the drive to like want to do handy stuff. That's where it all started. Seeing him, he always worked on our vehicles. He never brought them to a garage, so it was all him. So I remember that specifically, and it was never like, do you want to come help me? Like I was never out helping him frame up the garage or anything like that. It was just watching. Waking up early on a Saturday morning to the hammer pounding outside my window. Like I remember that vividly. And I definitely grew up with that idea of hard work means something. Like, because I was looking at it as I grew up. Like you see the front of the house is now sided with brand new siding and new windows, and you upgraded the electrical. So like, you don't realize it in the moment, but as an adult looking back, how important all that is. So, and then the other piece that I remember is having hundreds and hundreds of acres of woods behind us. There was a four-wheeler trail, and we were in those woods after school every day, summer vacations, and we just come back when we were hungry or the day was done. My mom actually worked at night, so she would sleep during the day, and my dad was at work. So it was very much just the three of us doing our thing. Yeah. I can't imagine that being the way we raise our kids. Like it's a crazy world now. But really, really great childhood. We were very adventurous. We used our imagination a lot. I think my hot-headedness came from maybe just not knowing how to process my emotions, really.
It's normally the case, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I had a really, really bad stutter as a kid, like really bad. Speech therapy, super shy. Like I couldn't even answer the house phone and say hello. It was like, I couldn't get the words out. So it's funny, to this day, I still remember those feelings, and I'm still working through those feelings. Most people nowadays are like, we didn't even know you stuttered. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, very, very fun childhood, very, very calm, nothing crazy. We were all super healthy, no real sad stories, a lot of adventures. So very fortunate to have lived the way I did and have grown up the way I did.
Yeah, I very much grew up the same way you did, with like going out in the backwoods and just disappearing for hours on end, riding my bicycle everywhere and never being home. My wife did not grow up that way, so very different for her growing up. Like even when she was in college, her mom was always like, "All right, where are you at? What's going on? What's happening?" Like very different upbringing. But it sounds like you and I grew up very, very similar. Like, so as you were kind of we tend to kind of model ourselves off of one of our parents, either what they did, and we try to do what they did, or we avoid what they did because we're like, I'm never doing that nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
You're running towards or away from what you saw. What would you say you lean more towards? Are you more running towards what you saw from your parents, or are you more kind of running away from what you saw from your parents?
I definitely say running towards what I got from my parents, but trying to add and mix in what I've learned in, being a dad myself. Yep. So I think, dude, I'm a freaking superhero. You know what I mean? To take the best parts of them and then have what I have. That's right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's what we should always be trying to do is, multiply. Like, if you're critical of your, and I don't mean critical meaning like, oh, well, that was terrible. I mean critical, like actually thinking through critically and going back and going, okay, what were the great things that because even a terrible parent can teach you great things. So if you could look back and go, what are the great things that I can take and add that into my repertoire? What are the terrible things that I can push away? And even if we know 1,000%, because we've actually thought through it, that what they did was terrible, I'm not saying they're terrible. I'm just saying what they did was terrible. And I don't want that to be part of this. And then how do I improve upon that so that my kids live a better life than even I am living right now? And that their kids live an even better life than what they lived. That should always be, I want to encourage everybody to do that. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to, and it doesn't mean that's, realistic. I know it's not realistic for everybody to work towards that, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't all be driving towards it just because it's not realistic. But yeah, I did the same thing. So when you look back, like, were you, like there were things that I like growing up, I was like, oh, my parents didn't give me this, or I missed having that, or blah, blah, blah. And I told myself a lot of stories, and it wasn't until much later. I mean, I was probably in my 30s before I finally looked back and was like, man, they did actually a really good job for the tools they had. They did a really good job. Have you sat back and kind of analyzed how your parents brought you up and like look at it and go, how did you guys do these certain things, or actually change your perspective on your upbringing at all? Because I mean, it sounds like you already said that you had a pretty good upbringing, and I'd say I had the same thing, even though I didn't have half of the things that I thought that I wanted then.
Oh boy, it's I have a horrible memory. My wife gives me such crap.
Oh, such a blessing sometimes, isn't it?
I don't remember a lot before. I was like, shoot, 15? Maybe she's over there thinking like, I remember when I was 2 weeks old, this happened. And I'm like, what the, I don't know. But it's, as I'm approaching things with Carter, like, so him and I just got this free four-wheeler. The thing's a piece of crap, but it was free. We tinkered on it, and we finally got that thing going. And he was just all like, it was the night before the first day of school, and we got this thing fired up, and Erica's like, he needs to go to bed. And I'm like, I know, but we just got this thing running. We need to take it out for a spin. It was like 9:00. We got one headlight working on this thing. We're like, let's go. And he was just so happy. And I'm like, dude, this is the best four-wheeler you're ever going to get. Like, arguably, you're going to get a brand new one someday, but this right here is the best. And it got me thinking back. I remember for Christmas one time, again, didn't have a lot of money. We wanted a snowmobile. And just the way they structured things, I still see myself doing it this way. Instead of just saying, like, here's a snowmobile Christmas morning, we opened all our presents, and my mom was like, I heard somebody in the attic last night moving around. Like, maybe it was Santa Claus. And we're like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, let's go look, So up we go, and there were 2 snowmobile helmets sitting at the top of the stairs. And she's like, well, that's weird. And we're like, me and my brother, and we're looking at each other, like, that is weird. Like, what do you think this means? And my dad's like, what's that out in the backyard there? And we're like, I don't know. Let's go look. So we look out the window, and there's this like 1984 old Skidoo snowmobile with like the ripped seat and the plastics all faded sitting in the yard. And we're like, holy crap. Like, that could have been $1 million snowmobile right there. And just like the way they structured the gift, the build up, like, it meant so much. And I find that I'm trying to work that into Carter, and Ellie too. She's obviously a little bit trickier, but there's just every year as he gets bigger at a different stage, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember they did this. I want to do that because I remember the feeling. And sometimes it's hit or miss. He misses the mark or it goes over his head. But so I think that kind of answers the question. It's just it's ever evolving. It's buried in there, and it's kind of a journey for me too. I get to experience it as it needs to come out. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And pull the tool out when it's there. When you think about it, the toolbox is full of tools. We just don't know which one we need yet.
Exactly.
Yank it out when the time comes. I love it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, and I've thought of this too through just conversations with other people. It's like my parents, and again, we're fortunate we had great parents. Other people, like my parents, are horrible. My main goal in life is to not be like them. And it's like, well, what did they do? And they're like, well, they were always drunk. They abused me. They left me home alone. And this. And it's like, well, how much of that do you do? Oh, I don't do any of that. And it's like, well, you've already won then. Like you've already, like you were saying, you've already replaced that bar. So now when your kids grow up, they're now building the bar off of good things, and they're building on that, and they're going to be even better. So it's like, you've already won. Stop dwelling on you not being like them. You're not. And it's just an interesting dynamic that can stick around so long, but it's also clear to see why it can follow so many generations. Because then you do it, and then your kids do it. It's a tricky cycle if you're not paying attention.
For sure. Yeah. If you don't step to the side of it and just remain in the cycle, it's rough, Yeah. Like in the business world, we talk about, Robert Kiyosaki talks about the rat race. It's the same thing, right? You just stay in that rat race and don't realize that you need to step outside of it and look at it from a different angle, then you're just going to get stuck there, and you're going to go and do the same thing that somebody else is doing. And you're just going to be a automaton, just walking around doing your thing. And, or being an NPC as the people talk about now. Right. And it's like, no, like step aside, realize what's actually happening. Just because you saw it happen doesn't mean you have to do it. Like, it's okay. Like go a different direction. Be the person who makes the change, right? The borderline cliche statement, be the change you want to see in the world, right? Be the change you want to see in your family. It starts with you. You can always blame somebody else for it, but it starts with you at this point,
100%.
So how did you get to, I want to fast forward now, right? So you went from working in a distribution center for a grocery chain to starting to flip houses. Like there's a small shift in dynamics and job thought processes. Obviously, you mentioned the kids being a change in that, helping you with a different why than you had before. So kind of talk to me about how that transition happened.
So it was great timing. So I remember while I was working for the supermarket chain, they were great at first. Like we were in the hospital, with Carter for about a week, and then Ellie for a good 6 or 7 weeks. And at first they were great. Take the time you need. And then it was like, we need you back. We get you going through some stuff, but we need you back. And then got to the point where I felt like I was being forced to choose. Like, you need to come back to work so we don't have to make the ultimate decision or stay in the hospital. So we ended up figuring it out. Like my wife and I had a good schedule where I did go back to work. And then I'm like, I am never, ever going to have to choose between, and it doesn't have to be, ideally it's not the kids again, but it's like my parents are getting older. I don't ever want to have to choose between sitting with them in their, hard moments or working for the man. So that coincided pretty closely to my former business partner. We used to go he's actually Erica's cousin. We used to go to family meetups all the time, barbecues, Christmas parties, and him and I would always connect, and we're like, somehow we're going to be filthy rich. Like, we don't know how, but we want to be rich. Like, maybe it'll be like a sandwich shop or a car wash, or like, we don't care. We just want a lot of money kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day we went in, I think it was a Christmas party, and he said, hey, my aunt started dating this rich guy, and he flips houses. And I'm like, cool. It's like, you think he can show us the ropes? And he's like, yeah, let me ask him. He's like, he's super rich. Like, he drives a Mercedes and, flips a bunch of houses. And I'm like, okay, like this is our guy. Like if he drives a Mercedes, no. So he said, yeah, I'll bring you guys in and teach you the ropes. And well, he did drive a Mercedes, but it was like super old. He got it at like one of the houses he flipped, like, but it was a Mercedes. And I'll spare some of the nitty gritty details in terms of just keeping some stuff separate. But he essentially told us and taught us how not to do things. He wasn't a person that we should have been modeling after. But we learned a lot about how we don't do things. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So we didn't. He essentially was bringing us in as an equity partner. He's like, help me flip this, and I'll give you some of the proceeds. Well, there weren't any proceeds. Whatever, no issue. But him and I, my ex-partner and I, were like, we can do this ourselves. Like, if this guy can do it, we can do it. So we jumped in. We found a for sale by owner property in the city of Portland, Maine, which is like our only city up here. And we faked it until we made it. We told them, we flipped some houses, even though we had only been a part of that one before. So we kind of embellished, and he agreed to owner finance it to us. And we spent the whole summer on this thing and didn't make a dime, and we needed to do that. So that bond, we didn't make anything. And so we took some time off, and we're like, all right, we want to do it again, but we don't know when, we don't know how. Like we got to figure out some other logistics here, like hard money. That would have been great to have, because that way we don't have the owner breathing down our neck. Be nice to have a rental budget. All right, we can make that up. One of us needs a truck, because we can't keep hauling materials in our little cars. So we need a truck. We need an LLC. So all these things that we thought about, we finally did. And we connected with a hard money lender, a local guy. And he's like, yeah, I'll take a chance on you guys. He's like, these are the terms. And I actually have a wholesale deal that I think would be perfect for you. And meanwhile, I'm still working at the supermarket chain. I'm working there and then working at night fixing the houses. And so we did that deal with this private money guy, and it was a success. We each made about $13,000, and I'm like, this is good enough for me. I quit. So it was a very easy decision. I talked to a lot of guys that have the golden handcuffs, and I am super happy I did not have the golden handcuffs. I hated my job. I made $35,000 a year. It was easy for me to leave. And like I said in the beginning, Erica carried our benefits. So I feel like I had a really good setup in terms of jumping.
I mean, you just made a third of that in one flip. So
Exactly. So
yeah, you guys could totally go jump in the pool.
Adam looked at the weather and there's no thunder.
All right, if you hear lightning, then come back in. Have fun in the rain. The kids are going to go jump in the pool, apparently. The boys
where do you live, Adam? I don't think I even asked.
Florida.
Oh, okay. We're getting ready to close our pool, so
yeah, we're getting our normal afternoon rainstorm that we get in this time of year here in Florida, and they were like, "I think swimming in this rainstorm is going to be amazing." So that's where they're going. Off they go. But
that's awesome.
So there were a few things that you mentioned in there that I want to jump back to. One is there's something that I tell people all the time: there's no substitution for execution. And you guys jumped right in and we were like, "Let's execute. I don't know, like let's figure it out." And then afterwards, you were like, "Oh, there's totally some things we should have done first, right?" But too many people go through all of that list of things they need to do before they could check them. I was guilty of that. For 4 years, I was trying to hit all these check marks to make sure that I had all the stuff ready before I could invest in my first property. And I would say I wasted probably 3 of those years. If I would have just done it for the first year, not even the first year, just like go and do something. That's the only way to get going is to go. Like you have to take the first step. So anybody listening to this, just know, just take the step. Stop. Don't wait for the perfect time to the moon needs to be here or the stars need to be aligned over here and all these things, and then I can go. And it's like, no, man, just go and do it. But then you guys stepped aside and said, hey, I think we got something here. I think we could do this. We'll find the right team. We'll find the right things going on. I love it. So definitely want to encourage folks listening, just jump in. most of the people listening are already entrepreneurs, already in business, but maybe they've got that one business idea they've been talking about for a year and they're just like dragging their feet on it and kicking the can down the road, and man, oh man, just go and do it. So you went from this first flip and you're like, man, okay, I just did this first flip. I got $13,000. I'm quitting my job. And now you've done 50 flips and you've been doing it for a decade. So like, how did that process slowly change over time, or maybe quickly change over time to where you're now executing at a much higher, faster level?
It was really just systems, and not even anything crazy. I mean, we put in some time to working up an Excel spreadsheet where we can just go in and plug in square footage, plug in, just quantities, and it'll auto-populate your full renovation amount. And then we plug in the ARV and then we'll spit out a potential profit. And then the hard money guys, we've been using the same guy since day one. So the trust there, like we can bring them a deal and it's just like, here you go, let's do it. And then beyond that, it's just staying optimistic. I'm a blind optimistic. Optimism is my superpower, but also my weakness. Yeah. I could use a little more of the analytical side, like you were saying, instead of just, if it feels good, do it. I wouldn't change it. It's caused some stress in my business, life, but I wouldn't change it. But yeah, so systems, the right people, and the right mission, that's really all it's about. I think I've been judged before on things that have happened. And the thing that saved me is the intent. So like anytime I show up to do something, what's the intent behind it? It's to do good in my opinion. So it's like, if it fails, well, were you trying to screw people over? This, no, like I truly thought it was going to work. I had pure intentions. Much easier to come back from that. Much easier to mend the relationships with people and they're back on board with you, so that I didn't learn that till a couple of years ago. It's like, judge me on the intentions and not the actions most of the time. So I think those three things really,
the outcomes. Yeah.
I think those three things are huge, but that's really all it is. It's finding the right people, a solid mission, and some systems that just make it so you can work on more of what you like in the business.
Yes.
So
for sure. That for sure. Because that's where you're going to, if you like it and you're good at it, just crush it. Some people like things that they're not good at. Well, you probably shouldn't do that. If you're not good at it, don't do it in the business, even if you like it. Take up a hobby to do that thing you like. Don't do it in business. But would you say that your partner is more of the analytical side to help you kind of balance out your just like, it feels good, go type of attitude?
Yeah. So from last year on, it's just Erica and I. Him and I just went different ways. We just wanted some different things, but he definitely kept me balanced. He was way more analytical. He was more like, all right, I know this house looks good, but let's take an extra 20 minutes and really let's get up in the attic and look for mold. Like, let's really walk through the basement with a flashlight and look for cracks and, those little things. And they're like, all right, so this is slightly over our target of first-time home buyer type pricing. It's a little bit over that. So let's think about that for a minute. Like, can we cut costs to reduce it? So yeah, he definitely kept things balanced, and was a big piece of that 50, quantity of projects over the years. So yeah. And I think that there's a natural evolution in partnerships, and things are going to change because focuses change and, whys change, and, life happens. So now that you've kind of shifted it to just you and your wife, is she actually involved in a lot of it, or is this mostly just you now and she's just kind of maintaining like you said, the health insurance with her teaching job? Yeah, pretty much. All that. The latter. Yeah. She'll be like, all right, what am I signing now? What are we buying now? Yeah. I laugh at it, but
that's my wife. Yeah.
Yeah. She's helped here and there over the years. Like, we'll go on a weekend, not recently, and we'll do some demo, but I mean, she loves kids. That's, that's where she belongs. Other than us trying to get some time together and, work closely and do some stuff, yeah, there's really not much other than we just signed documents together. So
Yeah.
it's past couple of years, past 2 years, I say we because we're both, we both signed, but it was a me thing. We bought a pretty big project in southern Maine. It's essentially a mansion on a mountain. It's 14,000 square feet with a guest house. It's got an indoor pool. It's got 2 libraries and a ballroom. And it's like, this is going to be a legacy property.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be, a lifetime of fun for our family. And it's also going to be, the base of building a solid stream of income if we pass before Ellie. So I'm like, This is once in a lifetime. And this thing was a disaster. Still is a disaster. Like, structural wise, the renovation is almost complete, but it's taken years off my life, to be honest. Yeah. So, but she trusts me fully. It's like, do you think it's a good idea? Yes. Okay, let's do it. So she's been great. She's who I needed as a partner for when I'm chasing. So, but she's not there swinging a hammer, anything like that.
I've told people 100 times on this podcast and in person probably 10,000 times is that, like, the best decision, obviously as a Christian guy, is that the best decision you can make is following Jesus. The second best decision is who you marry. Yeah. And if you marry the right person, it's going to change your life forever. And if you marry the wrong person, it's going to change your life forever. Like, so marry the right person. And they're going to help you grow and build beyond what you ever thought was possible. I was paycheck to paycheck and didn't know anything about saving money or investing until I married my wife. She completely changed my world, both financially, physically, emotionally, everything. Like, everything changed for the better when I got married, which I hope and pray for everybody out there is the case for them. It's not always the case, right? Sometimes it's, I had somebody recently, just yesterday, comment on one of my reels. Like, it was something about marriage. One of my guests was talking about marriage, and the guy was like, basically saying never get married. Like, it's a terrible idea. Like, only 1 in 20 women are, he was basically equating marriage to sex. And I was like, okay, well, first off, you have a wrong view on life. Yeah. That's exactly what you're equating. But I was like, man, I'm so sad that somebody, like, because you probably, not you specifically, but you, like the general you've probably mapped out what it means to have a good marriage incorrectly. I shouldn't even say probably. You have definitely mapped out what it means to have a good marriage incorrectly. If you're going to say that don't get married, marriage is horrible. All right, let's take a step back, right? That's like saying don't have kids because kids are horrible because you were treated poorly by your dad. Yeah. Okay, that doesn't mean that you're going to treat your kids terribly, right? It doesn't. Like, there's 2 things. I mean, you could go so many different directions, but man, oh man, having a supportive spouse is just unbelievable. And I love hearing you. Like, you've said so many good things about your wife on this podcast, and I love hearing it. And
I'm going to make sure she listens to this. So.
That's why you're saying it. It's recorded, and you can shove it in her face. See this? I do say things that are good about you. See, my podcast will not be used to win arguments. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. But I want to encourage anybody listening. Like, it's one of those things that, even if you don't feel like you married the right person right now, like, what are you doing to make it wrong? Like, take a step aside, like, figure out what you could be doing better. And just because one thing is not going the way you want, it doesn't mean you get to show up however the heck you want to, or show out however the heck you want to. Like, do the right things, be the right husband that you need to be for your wife, even if you don't feel like she's being the right wife for what you need. Have the conversations, be open to them, like, discuss them, support each other. Like, I talked about it in some other business stuff. Like, ain't nobody getting shot at today, right? Like, I was a combat guy. Like, ain't nobody getting shot at today. We can make it through this. We don't have to get a divorce today. We can make it through this. Let's figure it out. Like, let's go. We're married. We can make it work. And I love to be able to talk to folks about any of that. So anybody listening that wants to chat about that, feel free to reach out. I'd love to sit down and chat with you about things to help your marriage thrive as opposed to just survive. So. So as you're kind of building this out, what's your vision for the future, right? I mean, you bought a 14,000 square foot mansion that you've started rebuilding. You're 50 plus flips in. You're obviously wanting to continue to do this more with you and your wife. So what's your vision to grow what you're doing and build this this future empire that you want to be able to have as your legacy for when you pass?
So I've said for years, I don't think I'll create my or hit my wealth goals strictly through real estate. I mean, we do very well through real estate, but this is not a lot of properties in Maine. So it's like either I need to flip remotely, which has its own challenges, or I keep doing what I'm doing here and do something else. So, and I think this is a similarity between us, but I joined GoBundance mastermind group a couple years ago. I think, are you part of that group?
I am.
Okay. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. It is rocked my world in terms of what else in the whole category of and real estate. And so I'm currently working through it. I want to be, even if it's not money to start, one thing I've realized, years ago, it's like, just put the money aside. Just do something that makes you feel good at night. That makes you fall asleep thinking about it and you're excited to wake up in the morning. That used to be real estate. I'm not waking up in the morning excited to go and meet a heating guy at a flip. Like that doesn't do anything for me anymore. All right, what else is there? Well, this community for special needs dads. Like I've been thinking about that nonstop when I go to sleep, when I wake up. There's something there. Not even interested how it's going to make money. Maybe it'll never make money, but it's like there's impact there. Let's start with that. So, yeah, I'd like to say I had this mapped out plan. In 5 years, I'm going to create another $8 million in net worth through X, but I don't. I'm just chasing what feels good right now and hopefully helping a couple people in the meantime, because I'm a product of, if you have the right conversation with the right person, it changes everything. It changes everything. Ideally, maybe you think of someone that fits, the group I want to build, and that connection there is like, holy smokes, like we're like brothers separated. We got similar stories, and he's doing this.
Yeah.
I want to do that, but I wouldn't have known it without that conversation. So to say I'm figuring it out as I go, it wouldn't be a lie. That'd be
That's
true.
A normal thing.
So,
That's a normal thing in the entrepreneurial type of world.
Exactly.
As you were talking, I kind of pictured this. You have that group, and now you have your 14,000 square foot place all built up. You've got a staff that can be there, and that you'd bring all of those entrepreneur families with their special needs kids to this 14,000 square foot thing. You have events together. You've got staff that's helping care for things. You've got a nurse on staff. Like obviously it would be, not looking to make the money, but break even type of thing. Like, hey, what can we do to bring all of these dads together that we can mastermind together about how we're building this that is going to best protect these wonderful children as we depart this earth, because you have a different set of struggles that somebody like me does not have. I don't have a special needs kid that I have to worry about when I pass what's going to happen. Like, how are they going to be taken care of? Where you guys can mastermind together in this beautiful, mansion that you have now flipped, and what a great place to mastermind and, spend some time. But yeah, that'd be super cool.
That is I've closed my eyes before and pictured exactly that.
Yeah.
Doing fundraisers for, X, class of, disabilities, doing this and this, offering the pool. So many things. Just got to get there first. It's been a rough
Picture that
year.
house being like the X-Men house, where all the I'm not trying to relate kids with special needs to mutants, but all the mutants are there in the house, and they are able to work together and do all these things. And it's like, man, what an amazing opportunity to just bring like-minded people together and change some lives for the good. So
no, absolutely, it's
awesome.
And one thing you said, I just want to.
You're bald, so you're Professor X. What a deal, man! Oh man, sorry. Continue.
Come on now. I'm Wolverine. Jeez.
I don't know if you noticed, but Wolverine has a lot of hair.
Well, I mean, this I'm good. I can grow this. I mean, that's why we have AI now. I'm not a big AI guy, but if you're telling me it can turn me into Wolverine, then
there you go. There you go.
But no, you said something that sparked a thought that I've had with other people, and it's like people, sometimes hear the story. They'll meet Ellie, and it's like, oh, I feel bad. I'm so sorry. It's like, no, like don't ever feel bad. Nobody in this community ever wants pity or to feel bad. They just want to feel part of the group. Like don't ever think differently of anybody with special needs. And I would challenge you, and I say this to as many people as I can, like kids actually, I mean, you mentioned your kids are homeschooled, but I have a feeling you guys know a family, at least one with a kid with special needs. You know, I challenge you to invite them to the birthday party, invite them to go bowling. You know, a lot of people assume, well, Ellie can't do this, so like we just won't invite, even though we're friends. But it's like, it's good for the kid and it's good for the parents. Like we all just want to be part of the group. We don't need you guys to understand. Like, you said you served. I can understand that. But if you told me you had a friend pass, let's say on the, in the middle of a battle, it's like, I can't understand that, but I can share that, moment with you. It's like the same with us. Like, we don't expect other people to understand what we're going through. It's like, just listen, just sit in the moment with us. So, and I think it's not just our dynamic, it's anyone. You lose a kid, you lost your parents. I have my parents, so I can't understand it, but I can understand what you're going through. So.
Yeah. I can still have sympathy and sit there.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word I was looking for.
Let's go through this together and whatever,
Exactly.
I love it. So as you're building all this out and trying to figure out what you want to move forward, what is it that is the next step that you're trying to take? What is the next thing that you're like, this is where I'm going right now? Like, we get off this call, that's what you're working towards.
Getting off this call. So I am getting some love sent my way in the form of accountability to take some action on this group that I want to build so badly. And it's, what's interesting and hard? It's like real estate, I'll buy the house. If we lose a couple bucks, I can sleep at night. But I'm noticing it's different when it's such a personal endeavor. You know what I mean? Like, I had a conversation with some people in GoBundance last week, and it's like, what if I'm not the guy? Like, if it's real estate, I lose money. Like, I don't take that personally. But if I'm trying to build this thing and I do it wrong and I'm not helped, like, I take that super personally. Like, maybe I'm not I haven't learned as much as I thought along the journey. So it's tough when it's such a personal idea that means so much to you to take the steps. So I'm working on that, getting some support from my community to just take a step. Yeah. Don't overthink it. Literally take a step. So I created a LinkedIn profile. Never had a LinkedIn profile. So I did that. I made a post within the GoBundance group the other day. I did that. So it's like baby steps that are turning into something else.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, just trying to essentially get this mansion final leg. I'm trying to refinance it to finish it. And then from there we can, hold on to it and start renting it out. But there's nothing easy about either of these at all. So it's trying to figure
remember,
out.
as you're building the community, that you're not building it so that you could be the center. You're building it so that your guys' kids can be the center, right? And so that the future can be the center. So it has nothing to do with whether or not you know all the answers, because nobody does have all the answers, but it's because the community has all the answers. And that's the whole point of building a community like that, is because as a network, just like, Matt King, the CEO of GoBundance, doesn't have all the answers. All the guys who founded GoBundance, they're not the guy, like, you don't go to them just for all the answers. No, like, the group itself is why we're there. It's not to the individual people. It doesn't matter. Bring some folks together. And if somebody else is the one that is more of an expert that you brought in, fantastic. That means you knew how to bring in people that are good at this. Like, great. Like, that's like even better. So definitely go make it happen. You bum. Jeez, knock it off.
I feel like a bum some days, honestly.
Jeez. No, don't we all? Don't we all? All right. So it's been really cool. I actually had no idea you were in GoBundance until you just said that. So I tend to have a lot of GoBundance guys on here because, when you're talking about entrepreneurs who are dads who want to talk to other entrepreneurs who are dads, that's a pretty solid network of entrepreneurs who are dads.
Yeah, heck yeah.
They tend to get brought into here. But so it's really cool kind of hearing your story, learning more about you. I love your positive attitude on where you're going and what you're trying to accomplish. And again, I want to celebrate you for that, and celebrating your wife as much as you have. I hope you do it just as much in person as you did on here. Let the world know, but also let her know as much as humanly possible. So I'm not saying by any means you don't. I'm just encouraging you for sure to do that. So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, hey, I want to learn more about this community that you're building, or hey, I know 4 people that would be great for the community, or hey, I'm looking for somebody who knows how to flip down here where I'm at because I've got 75,000 flips I could do right here and I just don't know how to do it. Sure. What's the best way for folks to reach out to you?
So I'm on Facebook with just my name, Nick Simpson, born, like I said, Maine. So I'm probably only Nick Simpson in Maine. But other than that, you can actually find me on Instagram. If you look up Savage Factor, this is a little motivational brand that I started with my brother-in-law a couple years ago. And I'm the one that sees all the messages come through there. So you could absolutely shoot a message out on that.
Love it.
Yeah, pretty easy guy to find.
All right, very good. Nick Simpson, the maniac himself. Yeah. For those up in Maine, they understand what a maniac is. Are you
just so you know, nobody up here calls ourselves maniacs. Just
well, all of my Maine buddies said maniacs. Maybe it was just the one
maybe
that
they do. Maybe I'm just behind on the.
I've got multiple buddies from Maine, and they would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a maniac," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, all right." Huh. So military, you tend to meet people from all over the place, and my dad grew up a little bit of time up in Maine, which is where I get the Patriot stuff from. So he's been a Patriots fan forever, and he raised me to be a Pats fan. So anytime somebody sees my Pats stuff and they're from Maine, they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm not from Maine.
Yeah.
That's funny though. I'm getting called out. All of my buddies that from Maine, they call themselves maniacs, but now
maybe I'm the odd one out.
Maybe they're the ones, or maybe they're the ones. They're kind of maniacs regardless of where they're from. So,
what's funny is a lot of businesses in Maine, it's like they use the play on the name Maine. It's like mainly grass, mainly tacos, mainly. It's like okay, we get it.
Got it. We live in Maine. Everybody knows. Yes.
Everybody knows.
Very good. Well, Nick, it was awesome getting to know you a little bit. I appreciate it. I hope that everybody took some of your massive positivity and applied it to their life, knowing that no matter where you're at, no matter what's getting thrown your direction, you can be positive about it and you can forge through it. So, well done to you and Erica. I look forward to meeting you in person one of these days. It's one of these Go Abundance events.
Yeah.
And hearing about your awesome events that you're throwing for other entrepreneur families that have kids with special needs. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. And I'll bring you back on again to promote that later. Bring you back on the BizDad Podcast for that. So,
hey, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. In the meantime, everybody's listening. Please share this with somebody that needs some of that encouragement. Comment below on what your favorite part of the podcast was. Like and subscribe, all those things that I'm supposed to tell you guys to do. And we will see everybody on the next show.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you so much for listening to the BizDad Podcast. We hope you found some value in your time here with us, and we look forward to bringing you the next episode. If you've enjoyed today's show, please subscribe and share so you and your friends won't miss our upcoming episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Rumble, where we continue these discussions and share more valuable content. Be the dad you know you need to be and run your business in a way you're proud to share with your kids. Keep crushing it.